Hi, Kaiser Phoenix here. Today I'm back with another ridiculous shark movie review. This time, Red Water. Now this one was suggested by a user called Toxic Doom, who has suggested movies to me in the past, including Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus. So I probably shouldn't trust him, but he knew where the link was and it was free, so I thought, why not? Red Water was a movie made for TV for the TBS, well, I guess it was called Superstation, for TBS in 2003, starring Lou Diamond Phillips. And believe it or not, it actually doesn't suck. I know, amazing, right? A shark movie that doesn't suck, that's not named Jaws. Who knew? I was just talking to a user recently about the fact that I'd only seen one good shark movie, and that being Jaws, and all the rest were kind of crappy imitations or just bad movies in general. But this one somehow managed to not suck, and I actually enjoyed it. I know, it's crazy. I mean, Coolio is in it. Coolio the freaking rapper is in it. But it works. I guess I'll go through and explain why it doesn't suck. Okay. This is a difficult video to make in that regard. So basically, it's sort of an interesting location in the fact that it's not on the ocean, it's actually in the river, in the Mississippi River, along the banks of it, I assume in the Bayou country, because there's a lot of French and Cajun people running around. One good thing about that is that the water is not so clear. It's a little more murky, so it kind of hides the shark a little bit sometimes, which is good, because honestly the shark, it's not the greatest looking thing in the world. There's some shots that look okay, and some shots where it's like, it's rough. I looked it up, and apparently it is the first free swimming animatronic shark for a movie, which is interesting, but I really don't know how effective it was. But anyway, the movie actually kind of makes sense in the way that they give their characters a reason to do anything. They all have a reason to be there, and they all have a reason to be where the shark is. In fact, I wouldn't call it a ridiculous shark movie. I'd call it more of a, it's sort of like an action movie with decent characters, and the shark just happens to be one of those characters. Really, the shark is not featured all that much, which is okay. It is a bull shark in this one, which is a freshwater species that can go into salt water and fresh water, which is kind of amazing. And the movie does remind its audience that yes, this kind of shark is possible. But basically, the main character is Lou Diamond Phillips, who plays a former oil rig worker who in his past life was married to a biologist who works in the oil natural gas industry. And something went wrong on a rig, and it was his fault essentially, so he quit the business, and now he's not doing so well, but he needs the money. So his ex-wife comes to him with this company that's trying to get this natural gas deposit within Louisiana. And they're having some issues, and so they needed his help, and they contract him and his worker, which is a Cajun man, who kind of convinces him to go along with it. He doesn't want to do it at first. The Cajun man's like, hey, I need the money, and you should get back on the horse, and blah, 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 blah. But their relationship is actually a pretty funny one, him and his worker. It's entertaining and natural, and it works well. Really, all the characters and their relationships actually kind of what made me interested in the movie in general. The relationship between the main character and his ex-wife, the relationship between the ex-wife and the corporate stooge, who actually has some redeeming qualities in this movie. You know, he does have his stooginess, but there's also a reason for him to be going after the oil, the natural gas. He says quite seriously, and I believe the character, that he wanted to have the U.S. be not so contingent on foreign oil and foreign powers. So, you know, it's an interesting dynamic to actually have the stooge make some sense. But anyway, in addition, with those guys looking for the oil, there's a team of criminals that are trying to pick up some money that got dropped in the river during a getaway like 5 years ago. There's a little plot hole in there, in that would paper money survive 5 years underwater if the chest wasn't waterproof, which it isn't, and it doesn't work so much. The criminals are also interesting. There's 3 of them. One of them played by Coolio, who actually doesn't suck nearly as much as he should. He doesn't play too far from what his image naturally is, so that works for him. There's also 2 other criminals that all 3 are unique criminals. All 3 have different motivations and characterizations, and honestly, for the most part, the characters just kind of work. They bounce off each other well. There's certain points where something bad is about to happen, and instead of being uber dastardly, the villains go, okay, you need to do this now, and it just makes sense. The characters just kind of make sense. The shark attacks, there's not too many of them, but the ones that are there are kind of funny. There's this one where this uber environmental crazy tour guide person is talking about how they're going to sue the oil company and protect this, and she's walking out on a bridge while she's talking to a tour group about this. The bridge happens to be like almost in the water, and she's talking about how we'll take back the water and protect it, and then the shark totally bites her legs and kills her. I think the best death would probably be Coolio's death. The shark totally jumps up and bites his head off. It's great. The shark isn't too big. It's probably a little bit bigger than the bull shark is, but I wouldn't say it's anywhere near as big as the Jaws shark. So it's almost a more realistic shark movie, sort of. I mean, even the plot makes sense. Like, the main character develops a relationship with a cop that enables him to get past a certain blockade, and honestly, there's some silliness, especially when they get to the oil platform, but compared to a lot of other movies I talk about in this series, it is perfectly fine, and I would actually recommend it. I will put down the link and the information if you want to check out Redwater. I'd say, out of all the movies I've talked about, it is probably behind Jaws and Jaws 2. I mean, it's not like Shakespeare or anything, but for a shark movie, it actually kind of works, so believe it or not, this is me suggesting a ridiculous shark movie. Go out and watch it. Next time I'm doing Frankenfish. Oh God. See you next time.